Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Bonnie Southgate, hEDS Rehab. I am taking you through a series of exercises for Pilates classes. So I am going through the very basics to begin with, and we will build up our exercises as we go. Now, we did a bit of tummy recruitment, and we started with knee floats and pelvic positioning. We didn't really go into breathing in depth. I have got other videos on breathing if you look at my YouTube channel. And very basically, I want us to think, not get too hung up. If somebody is hypermobile and they are also neurodivergent, then we don't necessarily want to go too crazy focusing on the breathing, or even too focused on some of these exercises. So if you are a Pilates teacher and you're watching this, it's really well worth knowing that although there's a lot of emphasis at the moment on the benefits of breathing and the benefits of meditation and everything else, which is absolutely true, there are certain groups of people which that might actually bring more stress and anxiety on, and that would be your people who are neurodivergent or people with severe trauma. So you need to maybe focus on the movement with those people. So I am going to talk about breathing today, and we are going to do breathing exercises. So if you fall into that category, move on to my next video and don't worry about the breathing, and just think about moving around a little. And alternatives to things like breathing and meditation might be flotation tanks and things like that, where actually you're floating in one wonderful magnesium baths, and that can bring you relaxation as well. But for the purpose of Pilates, we are going to focus a little bit on our breathing. I'm going to lie you down. We're going to look at a few different ways of doing this. So you're going to place one hand on your sternum and one hand on your lower belly, and we're just going to have awareness to begin with. So breathing through your nose, that we know is more beneficial in terms of it stimulates nerves, specific nerves that can help relax and help the system, the nervous system. So we're going to breathe in through our nose and just be aware of which hand moves first, top or bottom. No rights or wrongs, just breathing in through your nose and then slowly exhaling. So it might be hard to tell to begin with. And again, you're going to take a nice breath in and breathing out slowly. I can feel my belly is moving a little bit, and that would be fine. So you would expect to have a little bit of movement in the belly if your diaphragm is functioning well. And some people, especially if you've had a lot of trauma or stress, your tendency might be to lift the chest up, and your neck muscles will be lifting up the ribs to try and get air into your lungs. Well, there's no problem because you're getting the air into your lungs and you are breathing. So I wouldn't say it's wrong to do that, but it's worth trying to do some breathing exercises just to get your diaphragm working. So it's an exercise like everything else. So we're going to think about that breath coming down a little bit lower. And I want us to think about the lowest portion of the ribs. So a lot of people tend to stabilize by gripping around the ribs, and then it makes the breathing really difficult to do with the diaphragm. And so we're going to focus on breathing into our hands. I've got my hands here. And you're going to try and expand your ribs sideways in your hands. So inhaling through your nose. And then slowly blowing the air out. So if you're an apical breather, you might think, great, my ribs are moving a lot. But what we want to do is combine that movement with the lower ribs with a little bit of movement of the lower belly. So let's just focus our hands on the front of the body, around where the ribs come down. And I want you to take a breath in there. And is there any movement? You may have slipping rib syndrome or other things that make you lock down because you might get pain if you're breathing there. So if it's really painful to focus the breath into your rib cage, I want you to focus your breath a lot lower, and you can almost focus that breath right down into your pelvic bowl. So thinking about your bottom and your pelvic floor. And we're going to think about that breath going all the way down like a little balloon. And you're going to breathe right down into that pelvic floor. And you might find your belly moves more when you do that, and then slowly breathing out. So it doesn't, I'm not trying to get you to bear down. It's not pushing down on the pelvic floor, but it's just allowing it to relax so that that breath and the diaphragm can start to descend. So I'm breathing right down into the pelvic bowl, and then gently letting the air come out. So I'm thinking about letting the air fall out of me rather than squeezing it out. So inhaling, we can start with inhaling sideways into the ribs. And then trying not to let the ribs squeeze too much. They'll come down in a relaxed manner. And then I'm going to think about my belly, just breathing a little bit. So I'm not bellowing my belly out. So in yoga, there's a very big emphasis on the belly. My emphasis, if you look at a baby, they have a little lift up and down right where the ribs are. I want to encourage movement in the ribs as well as the lower belly and the pelvic floor. So everything needs to be as relaxed as possible on your inhalation. So just inhaling through the nose, try and relax everything right from the ribs on down to the pelvic floor. And then slowly exhale. The only other thing that you can work on is slowing that breath down. There's something called box breathing that works really well for some people, where you can breathe in for the count of 4, hold it for 4 counts, and breathe out for the count of 4. And as you slow that breath down, you can start to make that exhalation a bit slower than the inhalation, which is a great way to de-stress the nervous system. So that is our basics on breathing. I hope you found that useful and you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe, put comments in the comments box. It's Bonnie Southgate, hEDS Rehab here. I hope you have a great day.